There was a broad awareness that Microsoft was very unique as a software company.
We've all heard it before. The youth of today are the leaders of tomorrow. This is the precise reason that the young people working their way through the education system are the ones we will rely on to make a big difference. Get as much exposure to the world as you can. Humanity's greatest tools are not in the discoveries that we make, but rather how those discoveries are applied to helping inequities. Whether through democracy, education, healthcare, or economics, reducing these inequities is the peak of human development. Before students even reach graduation, they can familiarize themselves with what needs to be done. Think about how, in the age of technology, we can solve these world issues. World health crises are the greatest issue we are currently facing today.
I love learning company courses and things, so I love being a student.
The fallout not only affects physical health, but causes psychological and emotional distress as well. A fast response is crucial in assisting those who are affected. Don't worry about where you start or what you have, just do what you love. You may be surprised at what comes of it. Be conservative in your efforts at first, but know when it's okay to step up your game. Stay humble and make helping others a priority at home and abroad. But most importantly, remember how crucial the education you receive really is. Apply yourself to getting the most out of your education as possible. If the system is holding you back in some way, ask yourself what can be done to fix it. When you find yourself out in the world, begin to formulate a plan on how you can help, big or small. You can't rely on one person or entity to fix everything all at once. So, work with other people and organizations to accomplish your goals. With the knowledge and know-how of the world's youth and student population, together we can make a difference and improve lives.
My thing was that I just loved doing software. I loved hiring people.
I got great exposure to the advances being made in the sciences. But humanity's greatest advances are not in its discoveries, but in how those discoveries are applied to reduce inequity. Whether through democracy, strong public education, quality health care, or broad economic opportunity, reducing inequity is the highest human achievement. I left campus knowing little about the millions of young people cheated out of educational opportunities here in this country. And I knew nothing about the millions of people living in unspeakable poverty and disease in developing countries. It took me decades to find out. You know more about the world's inequities than the classes that came before. In your years here, I hope you've had a chance to think about how, in this age of accelerating technology, we can finally take on these inequities and we can solve them.
Well, there's the period when I and other health experts were saying that this is the greatest potential downfall the world faced, going back quite a ways with a speech in 2015 and a New England Journal of Medicine article about the specific thing. Economic destruction, the psychological stress, this is such an unprecedented, very tough thing to deal with. The people like myself and Tony Fauci are saying 18 months. If everything went perfectly, we could do slightly better than that, but there will be a trade-off. We'll have less safety testing than we typically would have, and so governments will have to decide, do they indemnify the companies and really say, let's go out with this, when we just don't have the time to do what we normally do. So 18 months is about what we'd expect. We're doing everything we can. We'll write checks for those factories faster than governments can, and they'll come along. It definitely shouldn't be money limited. It should be, all the best constructs, full speed ahead, science limited. Mostly I love software. I do remember at the private school I went to, there were other kids whose families were better off, like they had a Porsche or something, but it wasn't that big of a deal. My thing was that I just loved doing software, I loved hiring people, and I was stunned when it ended up being so valuable. Because I always had to be careful that we wouldn't hire too many people. I was always worried because people who worked for me were older than me and they had kids, and I always thought, well, what if we don't get paid? Will I be able to meet the payroll? So I was always very conservative about the finances. And then when we did go public,
was I? 30 by then. I was kind of stunned at what it multiplied out to. Well, I always wanted to have enough money in the bank so that even if our customers didn't pay us for a year, we could still keep paying everybody and do the R&D. So I'd still be viewed as conservative. You know, I don't have that many things that are extravagant tastes, so didn't change too much. My wife Melinda and I picked global health as our big thing. The fact that still we have 5 million kids who die under the age of 5. Now, it was over 10 million when we got started, so there's been huge progress over the last 18 years. So things like malaria, diarrhea, coming up with new drugs and vaccines and getting them out to all the kids in the world. That's our main thing. Our second biggest thing is all in the US, which is trying to help improve the education system here.
It's not clear of the U.S., at least the U.S. has these agencies. You know, CDC doesn't organize trials. That's not their thing. FDA is the regulator. So they're not supposed to organize trials. They're supposed to review trials to make sure they're done well. NIH is research. And so we didn't really figure out, and we had, such a vacuum of leadership because we were, calling HHS and saying they should do this. But clearly there should be some mix of FDA people who are put aside from the normal review process and some NIH people, and perhaps pulling in some industry people who should have said, okay, let's get everyone to go for a common protocol for a plasma trial or a hyperimmune globulin trial, or even, remdesivir is still, the data is still very confusing about that. There's a couple other antivirals. We didn't have as big a library to go after this, so that one of the R&D tasks is to have 100 times better antiviral library as a starting point, and then do that quick screening as soon as you see the new pathogen.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content.